Sly, Stallone's official Netflix documentary review. Let's do it. Yo, Stallone fans, welcome back to the Stallone Kid. Today, we have a brand new video. This is live currently, but I will be posted as a video after. But yeah, today we are here to review the brand new documentary, Sly. It was Special Stallone's documentary that was released on Netflix. So, a pretty big documentary. Now, I've seen Stallone documentaries, they're more lower budget. They're certainly not as big as the Netflix one, but I do know most of Stallone's story, but there was still a lot of stuff in here that I did not know. And I'll get into what I thought about this documentary and what I thought all about that. Well, the first thing I'll say, it's a great documentary, great editing, great music. There's a couple of scenes where the music is in there, and it feels like it just feels amazing. It feels like you're watching a movie. So I really like how it does that. Um, and I'll say the main thing that I learned about this that I really did not know about Stallone's life was more about his family life and him and his father. I never knew too much about that. Um, I never knew that, and then I also never knew that about the horse stuff, where he did that horse. I think it was Polo. I never knew about that either, so it was really interesting. So yeah, the documentary is great. Um, it does show a lot of the, of course. I feel like the big part of it was showing more of the Rocky story, which I think they kind of have to show of that because the Rocky story or like how that film was made it's just a huge story, a great story too about. And I feel like this documentary teaches a lot of great stuff. It teaches about um, taking opportunities. Stallone says one thing in here. Probably it's not exact quote, but like just basically what he said. He said, "It's better to take the shot and fail than have the money and then looking like I wish I would have done that or I could have been this." Basically, living a life where saying I could have been this. It's better to take the shot and risk failing than it happening. So yeah, it was really great. There's a lot of stuff in this documentary that, of course, I did knew, but still, just the way they edited it, the way it showed it, seeing other people in there. I know we saw Frank Stallone in there. We saw Talia Shire in there. So that's Stallone, obviously, was in there. Who else was in there? They had Arnold in there too, and they also had. Hold on, I remember his name. I don't want to mispronounce his name. Quentin Tar Quint Quentin Quentin. I can't pronounce his last name. But obviously, the famous director, Pulp Fiction, all that. I don't want to pronounce his last name because I don't know. Every time I try to say, I sound like I sound like I'm like on a siege or something. So I'm not gonna try to pronounce that. But you guys know what I'm talking about. That him in there, so I was surprised to see him. And also, another great thing about the documentary, I think, was the ending where he talks about, um, you know, he uses his films as um, saying of how I wish things could have went, where he kind of applies his life into it. And then at the end of it, he talks about how he thinks it's far more important now to focus on his family, and how that was far more important than any of the movies he's done because he put so much focus and energy into it, where it took away fiction took away more of real life. So I feel like that was another really interesting, you know, topic they got into this documentary, and that documentary overall is great. Um, it also tapped into a lot of stuff of after Rocky One. After Rocky One, how Stallone felt, uh, everyone's calling him that one hit wonder, everything like that. So I really like how they showed that, and I also like how they show a lot on the Rocky too. They didn't show a lot on Rocky 3 or 4. They did talk a little about Rocky 4 about how he went to the hospital because of Dolph Lundgren. I did know that story as well. Um, and yeah, I see, but they didn't go a lot into Rocky 3. They also talk a little about Rocky 5 too. Maybe I need to rewatch Rocky 5. Maybe I'm a little too harsh on it. I know I've been harsh on it in the past, saying how it's a terrible movie, but I feel like the concept Stallone was going for was not only the best move for the Rocky 5, it was a great move. and it would have been a great movie if it just messed up some errors. I might make a video one day of talking about how you could redo Rocky Five, because I feel like the concept is great about Rocky going back to ground one, of him going back, all that stuff of him being a father. I feel like all that stuff's great. It's just the way Rocky acts, where he's not even caring about his son. I just don't feel like that would be Rocky. I don't feel like Rocky would throw everything away for it and kind of forget his son. Now you could. That's not the main problem. That's more of a nitpick. Um, but the big thing about this is obviously the cheesiness. The '90s music. It kind of just the pacing kind of goes through things. And Tommy Gunn, that street fight always seems to seem ridiculous. It just seemed a little too campy at times, and that's not really what I'm from a Rocky movie. And in a Rocky movie, you also it just doesn't give you what a Rocky movie feels like. Like a Rocky movie, the training montage, stuff like the final fight. We really have any of that. There's a little training montage, but it wasn't even Rocky. It was Tommy Gunn, so it just didn't feel right, if I must say. And besides that, yeah, but I do feel like the concept was great, and of course, there's some great scenes in there. Um, Obviously, when Rocky goes back to Mighty Mix, and then we get that flashback of Mickey, was amazing, amazing scene. One of the best scenes of Rocky, and also that scene where with Talia Shire and Stallone, Adrian Rocky, and they're screaming at each other, saying that you need to, if you're gonna pass him, not passing that to your son, then you're losing your family. That was great. And I feel like that scene at alone pays off for the nitpick I had of Rocky acting that way. Because, like I said, I didn't like how Rocky was kind of throwing away his son for Tommy Gunn. I don't think that's what Rocky would do, especially since in the beginning of the scene, we get scenes of him talking about he wants to give his son what he never had, like as his father. So I was like, what are you doing? But I feel like that scene kind of pays off for it. Also, one thing I never knew really that scene where Rocky is yelling in Rocky One, talking about, um, um, you know, yelling at Mickey as he walks up the bill, he's saying, you talking about your prime. I never had a prime, or stuff like that. And then how he said that he used that from his own life, from his own father. I never knew that. I never knew that about that scene. So that was interesting. Some of the things we talked about, I already knew from Rocky One, obviously, where the ice skiing where they go in, and there's supposed to be a lot of actors there, and there wasn't, so I had to rewrite it. Or also the scene in the boxing, or no, where it shows in the boxing thing where the pants are wrong. So that whole scene where Rocky walks in alone in the ring plays, and he walks in there. That I believe that scene was not supposed to be in the film. He just added it in because. Oh wait, no, I feel like that scene was supposed to be in there, but the red pants, it messed it up. So he had to use some sort of way to write that scene in. So that was interesting. I really believe those are like two blessings from God up above, because those scenes are one of my favorite scenes of Rocky. So especially my favorite scene of Rocky. By the way, I'm about to make a video about me ranting about Rocky because I just rewatched this because listen, I'll tell you, I watch Rocky at least once every week, maybe twice a week sometimes. I don't watch like every day, but every time I do watch it, oh man, I just can't stop thinking about it. And I feel like I'm now in that stage where I just can't stop thinking about Rocky. Um, I watched Rocky One because I saw it was free on YouTube. I saw it on YouTube. I'm like, all right, let's just watch Rocky One. And I watch it. I finish it. I'm like, oh wow, great movie, obviously. My favorite movie of all time. And then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed now, but I'm gonna click replay and have it playing as I go to sleep. And I just could not. I literally stayed up till 2 in the morning finishing the film because I get so invested in the story. And like I said, one of my favorite scenes is when Rocky walks in there. It plays "Alone in the Ring" by Bill Conti. Amazing. I even learned that song on piano. It's so great. Um, Saying, and then he walks back slowly, comes back home, saying that scene where he can't do it, and it doesn't even matter. You know, it doesn't matter. This guy opens my head. All I want to do is go the distance. If I can prove that, I know for the first time in my life that was not just a bum from the neighborhood. That is probably my favorite scene in Rocky. I think that brings the whole movie full circle. Um, but yeah, back to the documentary. The documentary is great. Not too much I can say off it because I mean, if I did not, I feel like this documentary would be 10 times better if I didn't already know so much about Stallone's life. Like if I was just a casual fan, I didn't like make a whole freaking channel based off Stallone. I'm sure this would be a lot more interesting. Maybe I could talk about a lot more stuff, but I already knew a lot about this. All I can say is the way they documented this was great, and the scenes, the music, the way they paced it was amazing. And some scenes actually almost made like some I won't say scenes, but like some almost actually almost made me cry. When we got to the around the end where where Stallone's father passed away, and they're showing clips of him going back to his dad, even though they had a troubled relationship, and them finally talking to each other, reconnecting as he's on his deathbed. That really made me pretty sad. And I don't cry easily during like in like movies and stuff, but that yeah almost got me. Kind of did got me. I won't lie. But yeah, the documentary is great. I recommend you guys watching it. It's only an hour and 30. They could have gone for so long, much longer. They didn't tap into uh, Stallone's death of his son, which I thought they would, but maybe they didn't want to. I mean, maybe Stallone is not comfortable talking about that. I just thought in the documentary they would bring that up because it was pretty, tragic thing in Stallone's life. So I thought they would explain that, but they didn't. And I understand either it's time and it would be a long concept and you don't want to kind of quick do that. Maybe it was time. Maybe Stallone just don't want to get into it. Either one I respect. They could have went. Also a lot of stuff. Stallone's like relationships with his wife. He had I think he had two divorces with wives. So it would have been interesting if he did that. But like I said, maybe Stallone's not too comfortable in talking about that, especially on like a Netflix documentary. So I understand that. But those are something I didn't know too much about. So I was like, it'd be interesting to see what Stallone's view on that is. But they didn't really get into that too much. And also they could have. I would really would have loved to saw um, more of Rambo 4. I would have loved to see more of that because they didn't talk too much about Rambo 4. And I know the set on that was crazy. There's a lot of crazy stuff. I want to see a lot of that, but they didn't put too much of talking about Rambo 4 in there. But I'm fine with that. One more last thing I will say about this is I love one thing they brought into is Copland, which I actually ranked all 50 special movies. If you have not seen that, check it out. Copland is one of my favorite Stallone movies. It's top 10. I think it's one of Stallone's most underrated films, and I don't know too much about the film of it or why Stallone did it. So when they talked about that, that's why I found it really interesting. Of Stallone feeling like he was just becoming more of like he was missing his talents that he has in the film industry of really getting to the emotion of a character and character studies like Rocky One, and he was turning more into just some big action guy. There's not too much dialogue. He's just more there for action. Because of the 90s, he started off in the 90s with more comedy, and that didn't work out too well. Although I did like our Oscar, that was one good comedy film, but the comedy stuff wasn't working too well. He started doing some actions, and most of them were pretty generic action films. So he started turning into kind of a generic action hero at the time. Because most of his action films in the 90s were not the best. Besides Cliffhanger, Demolition Man, everything else was not too good. And but yeah, like The Specialist, Assassins, stuff like that. I know some people like those films, but most fans and critics would disagree, and I do as well. I don't think those films are really good. But and so it did tap into a why Stallone did Copland. He did it because he felt like he was losing um, the character arcs and the character studies that he loved so much in films, and he's turning into more of just some big guy who just does every action film. So he turned to Copland, and he also wanted to prove himself as a good actor, which I think because that's what people always say about Stallone. Even people that are like kind of generic fans, they don't know too much about his work. They only seen a couple. They always say, "Oh yeah, he's really good at like he can like punch a boxing bag and stuff," but he's not actually a good actor. He's more known for his fit because his physique and stuff, and he's an action hero, which I completely disagree. I mean, he was even nominated for an Oscar in 1976, which he did lose. It was a great year for movies, but he also won Best Supporting Actor in the Golden Globes got nominated for Best Supporting Actor in Creed. He didn't win it though, which I thought was a bunch of baloney. But it is what it is, because his performance in Creed was amazing. But he, and especially in Rocky too. And I'll rant about Rocky 2 in a little bit, because I feel like I still stand this most underrated sequel of all time, and it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. And whenever I watch rankings of Rocky of people, they always say, "Oh, the film was good, it was great," but that scene when Adrian goes in the hospital, that's when it gets boring. I'm like, disagree. I feel like that scene in the hospital, Bill called it a drag out. I felt more of it. It was showing Rocky's love for Rocky, and it was actually kind of the catalyst of Rocky coming back to boxing, which we had an amazing arc of him trying not to stay out of that life. So I don't know why people don't like that so much. It never bothered me so much, but I guess it's subjective. I guess I don't know. Opinions are subjective. But back to Copland. Yeah, apparently a lot of people did not like Copland. Critics did not like Copland. A lot of people did not like Copland, which I thought was ridiculous. I feel like that film's so amazing, and most of it's Stallone. I mean, first off, he gained 30 pounds, and the character was more of a shy character. He's more of like a lonely character, and I feel like that kind of like stripped all the things that Stallone was, or like he was known as, like the action hero, the big muscular action hero shooting people down. Now he's more of like a, kind of overweight cop who's deaf in one ear. He is really shy, really quiet, and I feel like that really brought Stallone back down. He kind of humbled himself for this role, and he wanted to show to the world that he can be a great actor, and I believe he did. At least he presented it. Maybe the world didn't accept it, but I feel like this film was so great, really underrated. It's not like where it's like, oh, Stallone's acting so good, but the plot so bad or the other acting so bad, because there's been a lot of stuff like that. There's been a lot of Stallone movies where he does great acting, and then it's just the plot's bad or something, or the other actors are bad. This movie, the plot is amazing, and the other actors are amazing. I thought all of it was great. So that's why I don't understand why that film's not as popular as it is. I feel like it should be. Most people don't know what Copland is, and it's just pretty ridiculous. But the way that movie turned out, it should have been far more popular. But I guess they can't control that stuff. But it is what it is. And yeah, but that's really all I have for this documentary. It was great. I definitely recommend watching it. And guys, I know I posted on my community tab about a month ago about a Rocky prequel video I want to do, where I tap into Rocky prequel, and I'll tell you the reason why that's so delayed. Sorry, I'm really thirsty. Sorry. The reason why that's so delayed is because I started making what I planned for this to be was to be like a part series, where it'd be episode 1 of the prequel, episode 2, episode 3, and I would really go by it. But then after I rewatched Rocky, I kind of just threw away all my scripts that I had for this and all the writings and stuff that I planned for this, and because I just had to. That's why I should have rewatched Rocky, because there's so much things that I forgot and missed, whether it's time stuff or whatever it is, or just ideas came up during it where I just had to redo the whole thing. And either way, the voice recording that I made for episode 1 got deleted, and yeah, so I made a whole episode 1 of it, and yeah, I have some great plans for this. But I will not. I still have to write all the other episodes, and I have the basic idea of what I want to go for. But let me say, episode 1's great. I'll say it will take place in 1964. Rock will be living with his mom. He will be expelled from school. The first episode, we will see Paulie, we will see Mickey, we'll see a lot of all that stuff, and it's going to be great. Now, the thing is, Rocky said that he's been coming there for 6 years, so that would have been 1969. It's been 1964. So I would love to see Rocky and Mickey, where Rocky was like a kid. Maybe you don't want to involve Mickey in this. Maybe you just wait for that to be a future thing. But I don't know. Something, because he said he started fighting when he was 15. So, and Mickey, that building was made. Mickey opened like in the 40s, I believe, or the 50s, it was somewhere like in the 50s or 60s. I think it was. I don't remember the year, but I remember somewhere it says on the Mickey thing where that thing was opened. So I felt like if Rocky's living in Philadelphia and he's a boxer, I don't know why he would not join the Mighty Mix. So for the explanation, I just said that it's a different buildings because he said he'd been coming here for 6 years. So I feel like that'll just mean 6 years coming there. He had that locker. So rather he would be working in a different building with Mickey, but it'll be a different building, more like a really like a broken, dirty building. But he also said like I asked you 10 years ago. I asked for help. You didn't do it. That's 10 years, not 6 years. So I don't know. I don't really know. Maybe that was just a misspell. I don't know what that is, but I'll try to make it sense of it because I want it to be as accurate as possible. But yeah, episode one's great. Um, I had an idea of maybe making it like using AI voice and actually make a real episode. I feel like that'd be a lot of work. So I thought it'd be a little bit better for me just to narrate over it. But that is a cool idea. Because you could just use AI voice, get Stallone's voices in Rocky One, and you could just get probably some photos you can find to make it look well, and you could literally make it say it. But I don't know. I don't want to get sued by nothing by using their voice. I think it should be fine if you do that. But I don't think they'll sue me. I think it'll be fine. I don't know why I said that, but you never know these days. Um, that was a cool idea, but I kind of left my mind pretty fast because I realized how much work that would take, and also um, all the pictures you have to get for that to make it look real. It'll be rough. So I thought I'll just narrate over it. So, but that's a cool idea. Yeah. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna end this live now. You guys let me know in the comments what you guys thought about this Stallone documentary. It was a great documentary. I'm really happy it got on Netflix, a big platform like this. I hope a lot of people that know Stallone or don't know too much about Stallone will check this out and they'll learn a lot of new things about him. And it's a great thing. But yeah, guys, I'll see you guys later. And guys, always remember, keep punching. Peace out.